The Canadian Junior Hockey League is a Tier 1 junior hockey league in Canada. It's one step below the CHL, which is considered to be Major Junior. The league is made out of the BCHL, the AJHL, the OJHL, the NJHL, the SJHL, the SIJHL, the CCHL, the NOJHL, the Maritimes Hockey League, and the Quebec JrA Hockey League. All of the hockey league levels are very similar, but especially the BCHL has crystallized to one of the top feeder leagues to the NCAA in the last decades. Nevertheless, there's still a lot of scouts in any of those leagues. The league pays all of the expenses for the players, which is similar to what we see in the USHL. Nevertheless, the players are not paid and are therefore still eligible to play in the NCAA. This is why we can consider this to be the NCAA route in Canada. The attendance levels are mixed and vary from region to region. Today's interview will be with Nick Esposito from Canada. Nick played in various Junior A leagues in Canada, including the OHL, the OJHL, the NOJHL, and the Junior B League. So it'll be interesting to compare the leagues with him. Hi Nick, thanks for being here with us today.
No problem, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so the first question will be, could you explain your junior and youth career for us, please?
So I played AAA all growing up till my draft year, which is when you are 15 years old in Ontario. I got drafted by the Oshawa Generals of the OJHL in the 4th round, and then I proceeded to play in Oshawa for 3 years, and then I went and played Junior A for my remaining 2 years of eligibility.
Okay, so you played in the OJHL and the NOJHL, which are both considered Junior A Tier 1 in Canada. How can you compare those two leagues?
Yeah, so Junior A in Canada essentially, for lack of a better description, every other province outside of Ontario, they pretty much have one Junior A league, and then that's for the whole province. In Ontario, we have about 4 of them. There's one in the north, the NOJHL, the GTA, the Toronto area, so the OJHL. The Ottawa area has one. I think it's called the CCHL or CCHA. It kind of changes every year. And then there's one Junior B league as well. And Junior B it's essentially the same thing as Junior A in Ontario because it's primarily in locations that don't have Junior A. So I mean, they're essentially the same thing.
So you also had a short stint in Junior B. How can you compare Junior B to Junior A in Canada? Are they very different in hockey level and organization?
Nope, they're very similar. I'd say Junior A is probably a little bit more competitive. There's a lot more Junior A teams, obviously, because I think there's only one Junior B league. But again, Junior B primarily is in places in Ontario that don't have a Junior A team. So I mean, if they did have a Junior A team, they wouldn't be the Junior B team. They would just be a Junior A team. For example, locations like London, Ontario, which is I think they have 300,000 people, but they don't have a Junior A team. But Sudbury, which is half the size of that, they have a Junior A team. So that's kind of the discrepancy there. So London and Windsor and all those areas, they play Junior B, would be considered. But Toronto and Northern Ontario, we have Junior A, which again would essentially be this very similar. The BCHL is kind of known as like the best one, primarily because, like I said, the other provinces only have one league, whereas in Ontario we have 3, and then we have Junior B as well. So Ontario might have 100 teams total, whereas BC might have 15. So the 15 teams have a lot better players than the 100 in Toronto, in Ontario, for instance. But Ontario's top teams are still obviously competitive, but it's just out west. So Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC, they only have one Junior A league per province. So they have very limited teams. They might have 10 to 15 teams, whereas in Ontario there's almost I think there's like 80 Junior A teams total or something like that.
Yeah, and then you actually made the jump to the OHL, which is a big step in the hockey world. Do you think there's a big difference in hockey and lifestyle between Junior A and OHL, which is Major Junior?
100%. It's night and day different. The OHL is more like a stepping stone to the NHL, so you're considered a semi-professional or a semi-pro. It's a business, whereas Junior A is not as much of a business. But the OHL, you can have NHL draft pick on the 4th line. there's a pretty substantial difference in my opinion. A lot of OHL players, generally speaking, you're going to progress your career somewhere if you're playing in the OHL for 3 or 4 years because you're at that level. And I'd say everyone on the top 2 lines on every team in the OHL are going pro somewhere. Whereas junior A, there might be 1 or 2 guys on the team.
And how about going to school? Was it hard to combine the school with the hockey?
Yeah, so I was in the OHL when I was in high school still playing hockey, so we would just go to school in the morning. We would take 3 classes, and then we would leave early. We'd go to the gym. We'd go to the gym, and then when we were done in the gym, we'd go to the rink and we would practice, and then that would be the day. So we would wake up, go to be at school from 9 to about noon, leave after, I'd go have lunch, go to the gym from 1 to 2:30 kind of thing, and then we'd be on the ice at 3:30 to 5:30 kind of thing, and then we'd be done for the day.
Is there a big difference in travel and practices and so on from junior A to the OHL?
Yeah, there's a substantial more traveling, and in the OHL you practice and work out every day, like separately. In junior A, I don't know too many teams that run actual workouts. You practice 2 to 3 times a week, whereas in the OHL you're practicing 4 or 5 times a week, and you play 2 or 3 times a week every week. And there's depending on the team you play for, some teams you travel a lot. You'll leave on Wednesdays and you don't come back till Sunday. I was in OJHL, which is a pretty centralized team, so we didn't have to do too many overnight trips. I think we only stayed overnight maybe 5 or 6 times a year. But in the WHL and the QMJHL, so the major pro teams, or junior pro teams, major junior teams, sorry, out east and out west, they go on like 15-day road trips because they're in different provinces and everything.
And once you aged out of your high school age, so at 19 and 20, you still kept playing junior. Did you just play hockey at that time, or did you do anything else?
I continued going to school, so that's when I started doing university. So I took a few courses, 2 courses I think, while I was playing junior A still, and then once I stopped playing junior A, I ended up playing for the university team, and obviously I was going to school, taking my undergraduate and then my master's degree at that time.
Yeah, and since the players in the Junior A League are still considered eligible for the NCAA, are most of the players in the Junior A in Canada focusing on going NCAA or still also looking to major junior?
I'd say that NCAA, it's kind of like a time thing, right? So if you're in your first year of eligibility, you can kind of still weigh both options, but OHL wise, if you're going into your 3rd year of eligibility when you only have 5 years, there's not really a point in going to the OHL. You only play for 1 year maybe, and then you'd be done. So NCAA, you'd have still 4 more years after that, right?
So do we see a lot of NCAA scouts in the various Junior A leagues in Canada?
Yep, they have showcase tournaments. So like for one instance, when I played Junior A, the showcase, they made like an all-star team from every league, and then all the teams played each other. So like the Northern Junior A League, the Ottawa Junior A League, and the OJHL, they had 1 team from each of their 4 divisions. So there's 6 teams. So we played in a all-star tournament kind of thing, and then all the NCAA scouts come to that because that's composed of essentially all players that have NCAA eligibility.
Yeah, so that was it for today, Nick. Thanks again for being here with us today.
No problem.